Now we're going to be talking to Vadim in Georgia. And you want to talk about the miracles in the Quran, is that right? Yes.
Yes. First off, thanks for having me on. I do want to specify that I am not a Muslim, but was brought these claims recently by a Muslim. And I don't know if you have heard about the sea and the land ratio in the Quran. But I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. You can feel free to stop me whenever you want. But
it's
the word land.
It's been a few years since I read the Quran, and I don't remember anything about the sea to land ratio. So refresh me, please.
Okay. Sure. So the word for land in the Quran, and keep in mind there are many other words. This is not counting like the words for rivers and mountains and stuff like that. But the word land appears 13 times in the Quran, while the sea appears 32 times, and these numbers they total 45. So basically, if we divide the number of references to land in the Quran, like 13 by 45, the result is 28, around, I think 28.8%. And when we divide the number of references to sea in the Quran, 32 times, by 45, the result is 71%. So these ratios, they're the exact ones that apply between water and dry land on Earth. And that's, so 29% is what the modern scientific consensus says about land, dry land to sea covering the Earth, and 71% being sea to dry land. So basically, it's almost like a numeric miracle. And I'm just trying to, and it's like very accurate. So I'm just trying to get a feeling for what you guys think about this. I don't know.
Coincidences are tricky sometimes.
Miracles. Go ahead, Luxander. I've talked to him.
I was just going to say coincidences are trippy sometimes, and that's kind of as much thought as I would put into that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I remember one of the numerical miracles of the Quran, where they draw a line from one of these temples that was discussed, or to this other city that was mentioned, to this other city, and they were exactly on a line, perfectly level, and that was a great miracle of the Quran. How could that be? Except that would be a coincidence at best if it was, and then it wasn't, because if you actually look at it on a globe, it's not that at all. So. Quran miracles are really reaching. They're phenomenally weak. I've heard the same kind of apologetics from Mormons, almost identical arguments. And it's funny how they both pretend to prove themselves.
Right.
My big issue with the miracles of the Quran is that the moon is still in one piece.
Of course, and it would be hello, am I still here?
Sorry, there was an interruption. You're good, Vadim.
My dear 83-year-old mother always calls me when I'm on camera. Never at any other time. Only when I'm on camera.
It's impressive,
like my dad
really.
calling me at the worst times.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I see your point though. Like, it would be extremely disingenuous to focus on this one thing and then dismiss all the other false things the book says. Just such as Muhammad splitting the moon in two, right? Another one that was brought up to me is for instance, like the heavens and the earth forever, constantly expanding. Right. But that one is a little more broad, because it's like, well, I don't think the earth is expanding, and it also depends what you define as the heavens, because in many of the verses of the Quran, right, it is cited that the land is completely flat, that the earth is flat. Not directly, but it implies.
Let me jump in with this, because I'm familiar with this one. So in the elder mythology, because Islam is based on a form of Christianity. And Christianity, of course, is based on Judaism in most part, but then it also takes a little bit from Zoroastrian. Christianity takes a little bit from Zoroastrianism.
Agreed.
Judaism is based largely in Zoroastrianism too, but they didn't take all the same elements. So one of the aspects of Zoroastrianism is that the world is covered with this giant crystal dome, and Mithras takes off his cloak and spreads it. Well, no, that's a different religion, but it spreads his cloak over and he stretches out the sky like a tent. And that's what it says in the Bible. So you have the cloak that has all the stars sewn into it, and you stretch it out over the firmament. That's what it means to stretch out the sky. And then people Muslims find out about, cosmic inflation, and they say, well, that's what it means when the Quran says that he stretches out the sky. Well, that's 700 years ago. That is not
Very
what that
broad.
meant when they wrote that.
Yeah. I definitely see what you mean. Yeah, it's a pretty broad claim. And now when we talked about like that coincidence, right? About like the proportions of the land and the sea. I mean, it's not even directly, I guess you would say, like cited. You also have to do some number moving, right? And it kind of reminds me of when you see those like Illuminati conspiracy theorists being like, "Oh my God, look, the three pieces of the triangle, 3 times, I don't know." It's like, somehow you get 666 at the end of this crazy math equation. Do you know?
Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's what numerology basically is at its core, is like, it is the most deep conspiracy shit. And it's like, it's on there with bong rip theology. Like, it's all those things where it's like, oh my God, like if your shit was real, you wouldn't need to reach this far. You wouldn't need to stretch this far in order to connect the dots and everything. So yeah, it's just really silly. I would be way more impressed if those numbers that you gave, if there was also something in there that was like, indicated that the percentages are changing. Like, I was just reading about an entire country that's an island country who's about to evacuate their entire population because of the increasing amount of ocean. So yeah, like I would be way more convinced if there was something in there about climate change.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And it's also important to note that me personally, I think it's crazier that Hinduism accurately predicts the age of the Earth.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up.
About 4 billion. What is it? A little over 4 billion years old.
Yeah, a day of Brahma is 4,320,000,000 years,
right.
And at the end of that day,
right,
he dreams it all again.
Is that like a broken clock situation?
So,
like they just happen to be correct?
Yeah, Hindu theology is cyclic.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So if someone's going to say that, for example, well, this one equation means that the Quran is true, then you're going to have to take Hinduism at face value as well. So they can't both be true, can they? Because they both have coincidental and overlapping, claims, things that won't add up, things that won't complement each other.
That's why it's like, as an atheist, it's like you believe in just as few gods as I do. It's like I just have one more God that I don't believe in.
Right. Yeah, so I definitely understand what you mean. That was just something that was kind of brought up to me by someone who was Muslim, and it's interesting. And just because there's one true thing doesn't automatically mean that the entirety of it is true. Because, like I said, if we just, like you were saying, I mean, you can't just ignore all the other false things,
True.
So, but well, other than that, I appreciate you guys talking to me. I'm not going to hold you up anymore.
Thank you very kindly.
Unless you guys have any questions for me. If not, then
I do.
I appreciate.
Sure. You're a theist, right?
Yeah, I'm a theist.
I'm still curious as to why.
So I don't. It's hard to say, because the way I define God isn't the same way as, for example, like the three Abrahamic religions would define God. I guess what I would define as God would be kind of similar to a more of a Gnostic sort of framework, if that makes sense.
Gnostic?
If I'm
are you sure you weren't going for pantheist or deist?
Kind of. So I believe that there's the creator God, right? And I believe that there is, though then there is something else that is the divine source that encompasses reality in itself, right? But so I don't really believe. So I believe that the material world is evil, but materiality, if like the form itself, is not evil. I'm sorry. English is not my first language. You're gonna have to kind of forgive me here.
Well, I wouldn't have been able to guess that. You speak very well. I didn't even pick up an accent.
Thank you.
What I'm really trying to say is that
I speak Tathar.
Okay, now I'm feeling ignorant.
It's like a Turkic language. No, it's okay. It's okay.
I don't know where that's from. I'm pretty good with geography. I don't know where that language is from.
So Tatar is a language that is spoken in Russia, and in a region called Tatarstan.
As a 10-year Russian language student, I'm feeling especially ignorant.
It's okay.
It's pretty regional, I guess.
Yeah, it was the one thing my parents taught me, but they didn't teach me Russian. And I think I understand why.
Understandable.
But yeah, like, so essentially in most Gnostic schools, we believe that the material world is inherently evil, right? That form in itself isn't evil, but the material world is. So I'm not sure if you guys are all that familiar with Gnosticism, but basically, when I look around the world, I see that things just suffer needlessly, unnecessarily. Things just suffer, for no good reason. No good reason at all, other than just to suffer. Like ever since I was little, I watched a lot of nature documentaries and Animal Planet and all that stuff. And my mom even had to come in the room and turn the TV off because of how brutal some of that was. I think one of the scenes on there was like a bear eating like an animal alive or some sort of deer or something. And I'm just like, why? So from an early age, I've been questioning, like, why does it have to be this way? And I came to the conclusion that do we know for a fact if there is a God or not? Well, no, of course not. That's belief, right? None of us can really know. But honestly, when I look around at this world, I can't make any other conclusion other than to how evil this place is. And it almost seems like what the Christians and the Muslims describe as being hell. And the only conclusion I can come to is that there has to be a source for such evil, and that could be within the essence of creation in itself. I'm not sure if that makes sense. If you guys want to ask me any follow-ups, I'm trying to make it.
I'm interested in this idea that like where we live is evil and this is hell, because like I live in a place where there's a lot of birds. I can hear birds right now, actually, and I'm having a really hard time compartmentalizing the idea that birdsong could be evil. And like I'm using that as a small example. I'm zeroing in on that just because it's a sensory experience that I'm having right now. But like that you live in a beautiful world, and I mean maybe you live in Georgia, so I don't know. Or is it Georgia the country or Georgia the state?
It's the state.
Okay, so you live in
Yeah, it's
Georgia, and
pretty
I
bad here.
apologize for that. Yeah, so maybe you should travel a little bit because, like, the world is a beautiful place, and people do wonderful things for each other all the time. Like, I I'm experiencing something almost like effrontery at the idea that this
Mhm,
place is evil because I see
mhm,
people do good things for each other all the time, and it's like it can't possibly be intrinsically evil if there are good things happening all the time, and if there's beautiful things happening all the time. I'm like, that's a really depressing world to live in.
I'm just thinking,
right.
I'm an atheist, nihilist, Satanist, and I'm going to try to explain to a theist how beautiful the world is.
Genuinely, yeah. I'm like, what do you mean?
Well, yeah. Yeah, so in its so in its like so like in Gnosticism, we don't believe that, like, for example, animals are evil because they're basically, so there was a fall, right? Similar to how the Christians believe. There was some sort of fall that happened, right? And we became entrapped. We became entrapped within the material world, right? So animals are like this essence of divine life, like the souls of people, right? We actually believe that animals are even closer to the source than we are because animals don't have this concept of morality that we do.
I'm so confused though,
Um,
because when you were describing like the evil present in the world, the example that you gave
mhm.
was a bear eating a deer.
Right,
Which
right,
one of
and
those
yes,
are
Um,
not
that it's
animals?
yeah, yeah. I feel like that was a
so
little bit of
it's
paradoxical.
evil. Well, it's evil because of the suffering that's caused. It's not evil as in animals have moral decisions that they can make. It's really it's cruelty out of survival, if that makes sense.
But you understand that it has a purpose. Because another thing that you said earlier is that you this is purposeless suffering, but you clearly understand that there is
Mhm.
a distinct purpose for that suffering, which is animals got to eat to survive.
Right. But in my eyes, they don't have to, like, if there was a potential universe, they this none of this would have to happen.
Are you
But
vegan?
because am I vegan?
Yeah.
Unfortunately not. I wish I was.
Okay. I mean, at least you recognize that that would make you ideologically consistent.
Yeah.
Are you
It's
evil
not
for
so
not
much
making
like
that commitment?
uh I wouldn't actually, to an extent, yes.
Interesting.
Yes. So it's something I'm in the process of working towards, actually, is veganism. Um but yes, so by eating meat, in to an extent, in that context, I would be considered immoral.
I
Okay.
feel
So
you.
yes.
I feel you. I hate. I know that if I had to kill my own food, I'd be vegetarian overnight, hands down. That's it. I just
I
wouldn't.
don't
I'd
have
be a lot
this
skinnier
qualm at
too
all.
because I wouldn't. I wouldn't know what good food tastes like because that's all meat.
True, you can't miss something you've never had.
Yeah,
I've had like lifelong
and
vegetarians who are like, "Yeah, I can't
mhm,
miss meat," and I'm like, I mean, that's a little bit of a jealousy point I had when I was trying to be vegetarian.
Yep. Yep.
yeah. Um,
And I know
so
what a hypocrite I am for eating meat every time I eat I eat meat every day, and
yeah,
it bothers me. But it's also our biology. As was mentioned earlier in the show today, Alex O'Connor was a vegan and found that he
yeah,
couldn't sustain it. And a lot of other people find that biologically they just can't, because there's an aspect of our biology that forces us to have to do this cruelty against animals until our technology can produce entirely artificial food.
yeah. Um, yeah. So I definitely understand, but it's more so like, yes, there is a lot of suffering also out of necessity. But I feel like in a better world, this none of this would exist. And so I understand what people mean by, questioning, the goodness of God. I definitely understand that because I'm not one of those people who believe that God is actually good. I believe in a God. I'm a theist, but I actually don't believe God is good. nor that he is actually worthy of worship. Because it's almost like he is the one that is sustaining this world of constant suffering and even unintentional suffering. Like, for example, like a bear eating an antelope alive. The bear doesn't have a moral framework. Oh, I want to make this antelope suffer. It is just its brain is just engineered to do that. It's in its biology. It's in its evolutionary.
A world where horrible people just get handed billions of dollars just for lying and cheating everyone else, and they have great lives and live long time and never see any kind of repercussion or any kind of accountability. But good-hearted, sincere, nice people are visited with terrible disease and poverty and all of that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically kind of where I'm coming from. However, I definitely see eye to eye with people who are atheists, because it's like, well, at the end of the day, you know, you said something earlier, Aaron, when you said, like, I know that there isn't a God, and that resonated with me, because that really resonated with me, because if we were to like grant, like, for example, the Abrahamic view of God, all powerful, all knowing, all of the above, all the omni, right? Then it is completely contradictory and inconsistent with a world where unnecessary suffering exists. Because if you were a being and you're all powerful and you could have created a world where none of this was actually a thing, and you chose to create this world where, for example, rape exists, torture exists, things like that, then in my opinion, you are a disgusting, cruel being. And you had the power to create a world that wasn't like that. And people would say, oh, well, you know, well, we wouldn't understand virtue if it wasn't for suffering and evil. But that doesn't apply to a context where God is all powerful and can create whatever universe he desires to.
Well, God figured out that nobody was going to buy a Sims universe that didn't have a bit of Grand Theft Auto in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In his wisdom, he gave us a little Grand Theft Auto as a treat.
Yeah. All right, we got one more caller, and Vadim, thank you very much for that. I would be keen to hear about your theology at another time in another venue, perhaps, because I've never heard of it before. Sure. So if you can reach out and share some of that with me, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. Do you want me to reach out via like an email or something like that? Or do you want me to call back another time?
Yeah. Or, social media one way or another. But I'd love to hear it.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on. And I appreciate the talk. It was a wonderful talk.
Thank you very kindly. Enjoyed you.
Okay. Take care, you guys.
Okay. Thank you.
Eric, do you want to learn how to Mongolian throat sing? Check this out.
No, you try. No, keep that shit to yourself. Don't hear it.
Anyway, thanks for watching that clip. Patreon.com/calltheline is where you could support us. And maybe you should subscribe and like the video, because it was a killer video. Or maybe it wasn't. Was it a Forrest video? If this was a Forrest video, you don't have to click like. If it was an Eric video, go ahead and click dislike.